So, what makes a really good leadership podcast?
So that's an excellent question, and you might think it's be all sorts of things. A lot of people will think it's to do with the technology or to do with the really great interviewers, all that kind of thing. But actually, what I think is essential to have as a basis to have any chance of producing a good podcast is good old fashioned, clear, strategic communication thinking. We have this process that we take people through when we first work with a client. They come in, they say, we want to do podcasting. We've got all this stuff we want to say. We've got all these people that we think will be great. And quite often they'll even have the episodes mapped out. And I listen to that, and it's all very useful to get that background. And then I always say, okay, could we just step back a minute? And could you tell me why you want to do this? What is it that you want to achieve? What's the outcome you're looking for? And another way I put it is, how do you want people to think, feel, and act differently once they've listened to the podcast? And there's always a pause at that point, and they either know, but they haven't quite expressed it clearly as they would like, or they don't know, they haven't thought about it. And we go through that process, and in those situations where they have already started to sketch out how they think the programs will go, we always change it. The classic one that happens time and time again is when somebody's doing a set of podcasts around a change initiative, and they want to rush straight in and tell people about all the amazing new things they're going to introduce, and they've forgotten the classic change and communication imperative of establishing the need for change. So we quite often have to start with that and then build from that and then relate the ideas that are coming forward back to the need for change. And once you've got that very clear idea of why you want to do this, what it is you want to say, and how you want the information that you present to persuade and shift people's thinking, then you're in a great place. Then you can do all the other stuff about deciding who you're going to interview and the style of interviewing and whether you're going to do Skype interviews or whether you're going to actually do face-to-face or all that kind of stuff, all of which is all great and all needs to be considered to make your podcast good. But it all builds off that strategic plan. And every time anyone asks me what makes a good podcast, it's good strategic communication thinking. Now, having said that, when I say clear idea, and you've heard me say this many, many times before, that does not mean you script the whole thing.
Right.
We're talking about a good framework, but we're not talking about detailed line-by-line scripting.
Right.
It's the balance you get. We know where we're going, we know the general direction, we know the topics that we want to cover, we know the kind of questions that we will ask, but it is a conversation. So you do need to have a degree of informality about it, and you do need to be able to go where the conversation leads you. I talk about it as basically operating within a wide channel. So the channel is leading you to a certain point, but the actual path you take can vary depending on where the conversation goes, and that gives it that quality that conversation has of making it engaging and easy to listen to.